And I have checked, you all should have received your letters as being accepted into the grant program. And yesterday afternoon when I checked, I found that all of you had uploaded your syllabus already. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. You are a fantastic group of participants. So let's talk a little bit more about OER. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a video that talks about OER in more detailed terms.
There is no question that our world is evolving. Our tools, our global community, and above all, the way that we communicate. It can be argued that the highest form of communication is education, the passing of knowledge through time. New forms of communication are illuminating new opportunity for educators and students alike. This opportunity is why open education resources matter. Open education resources are teaching, learning, and research tools that reside in the public domain. They are completely free for use and repurposing. Let's face it, ideas and knowledge are spreading faster than traditional forms of learning can keep up with. This raises problems like relevance of material and cost effectiveness for schools. Wouldn't it be revolutionary to have a sustainable form of education that is relevant, constantly updating, and completely free? The revolution is here. Users of open educational resources have absolutely free access to full courses, course materials, textbooks, streaming videos, software, and other priceless tools. In addition, users have complete permission to revise, reuse, remix, and redistribute all open educational resources. Imagine the classroom of the future. Biology students in Haiti can wirelessly study tidal patterns of the northern Atlantic Ocean. History students in California can take a street view tour of historic Gettysburg. Textbooks can wirelessly update with the most recent information free of charge. These aren't educational pipe dreams or fluffy notions. These are very real tools that need to be shared and implemented everywhere. Experience education the way it is intended, with relevance and community. Experience the revolution of open educational resources.
So, that gives you a little bit of an idea of what open educational resources are and how they can be used in the classroom. But to put it into a little different context for you, we want to talk about where this team grant particularly resides. So there are open educational practices as a whole. Within that, we find open educational resources. And then within open educational resources, we have established affordable learning solutions here at San Jose State. The program has been in existence since 2012 here on campus. It is a CSU-wide initiative. And right now we're currently working on our team grant program, which is otherwise known as AB 798, and that's what all of you will be a part of. So to tell you a little bit more about AB 798, it is the College Textbook Affordability Act of 2015. And you can see here, in the last 40 years, the cost of textbooks has risen more than 1,000%. And we estimate that the cost of books and supplies for students for 1 year at San Jose State will roughly be around $1,900. We know if a student is in the STEM disciplines that that's going to be higher. We know that STEM materials are very expensive. And we haven't actually updated that for this year, so I would guess that it's probably now over $2,000 unless they are using some form of OER in their classes. So it's for this reason that the California legislature passed this legislation that we could try to increase and encourage adoption of open educational materials within our universities here in California. So let me tell you a little bit about the rules of the program, the rules of the grant. First of all, funds cannot be used to create new open educational resources. This generally brings up a lot of questions for faculty. What do I mean by this? So if you were to go ahead and write your own material and then put it out there for your students to use, in this particular grant, that would not be permissible. What you need to use are already existing OER materials that are available and can be found, and we certainly are here to support you in that process. If you have notes that you want to share with your class, that is something you can do as sort of a support or an ancillary to your class, but your entire class could not be based on the notes that you have written for this semester and then shared with them. If you had class notes that you previously published in an online repository, say last year or 2 years ago, those would be considered already existing online materials and you could use those. And if you have any questions, please let me know as I go through the presentation. Just stop me at any point in time. The questions tend to typically come up at this point when we're talking about what exactly we can and can't do with the grant. Our targeted courses must be implemented in this fall, 2017, or spring 2018. We have kind of reached a critical juncture in this point of the grant, and that's because we have committed to switching over 49 sections here at San Jose State. If we meet that goal, we are eligible to apply for additional funds which would run the life of the grant through 2020. So we have the opportunity to gain additional funds for 2018 through 2020. Now, another key point of the grant is the savings to our students must be 30% or more over the cost of current classroom materials. So I have a couple of word problems here. It was really helpful when I had my math professor in class yesterday. He totally got this. So if you use, for example, a textbook that is $90 and you have a $30 online homework system, the total cost for your students would be $120. If you switch to the free open textbook, that would be a 75% savings. Now if we take a look at your second example here, if you use a $30 textbook and you have the $10 workbook accompanying it, that would be a total cost of $40 to your students. If you switched only for the free workbook, that would only be a savings of 25%. So in that case, unfortunately, it would not qualify for the terms of the grant. Now, targeted courses must currently use existing OER that are free, licensed and acceptable for use by students and faculty. They must be accessible, and you need to have a print version available. Let me go back and talk a little more about the license for acceptable use by students and faculty. We have had in the past instructors come to us and say, this is great, fantastic, I found all of my resources available online for free. And they submit a list of titles to me and I go and look for them and I find that perhaps they're like a Google Doc hosted on someone's private server, which I can't guarantee that's always going to be there, and also I don't really know where that originated from. Or maybe they find a PDF that's been uploaded to the web, but I'll find out that the person actually had no permission to do that. So if you have any copyright questions, we're certainly here to help you with that, and that's what we mean by the license for acceptable use by students and faculty. We need to make sure that we are compliant with copyright and we're using things that we have the ability to use and are appropriate to use. Now, having a print version available, a lot of people are concerned about that. What does that mean? Well, let's say you assign journal articles that are available through the library. Students can print those out if they want to. Now, there would be associated costs with that if they chose to print through the library because it's 20 cents per page for black and white. That actually does not affect the terms of the grant. We are offering them the print version, although there's a small cost associated with it. But that does not come into play when we're talking about the grant. Courses that have already made curricular conversions to OER materials, unfortunately, are not eligible for this grant. So we have a couple of speakers who will be up here joining us shortly, one of which is Dr. Janine Pfeiffer, and I actually met her through a webinar this summer that I did for Jennifer Red, and it turns out that she had already made the curricular conversion using OER. And we were so hoping to get her into this program, but we had to say, oh, unfortunately you've already done all the wonderful work. So we had an opportunity to invite her as a mentor, and we're really lucky to have her talk about her experience today and share with you what she went through for the conversion. Dr. Marilyn Easter is here also this morning to share with us her experience. She's already gone through the team grant process. So both of these individuals can share with you what it's like to go through, maybe what some of the challenges were, what some of the opportunities were in addressing their students now with these materials. So that was one of the things that's come to light since we've started this program. We have faculty on campus that are already using OER materials, and they weren't even aware that they were already part of this revolution, so to speak. So it's wonderful to get them in and being able to talk about their process with us. Now, what counts as an open educational resource? We have a lot of leeway here. There are a lot of different materials that we can use. It's including, but not limited to, full courses. You can find these in repositories online. General course materials, modules, of course textbooks, which is probably the most common. Faculty created content, that's where those faculty notes would come into play, I mentioned. streaming videos, tests, software, and any other tools, materials, or techniques used to support and access knowledge. Where can I find OER? I'm going to go through this a little bit quickly because we can always come back to that at the end. I want to make sure I do preserve some time for our presenters who have kindly joined us, and since we got a late start, I want to make sure I give them plenty of time. You, of course, can go to the library. The library is a great source for OER material. We don't always think about that, but we already have licensed materials, right? We already are paying for materials that we can share with students. Those do qualify as OER. Think about the journal articles that you have access to. If you need an e-reader, by that I mean an e-textbook, we actually have worked with other faculty that have found there is an e-version of their class textbook available. We purchase that and make that available for students. Merlot.org, this has been around for about at least 10 years now. Wonderful repository for the CSUs where you can go in and actually search by ISBN if you want to find an equivalent OER material. Cool for Ed, this is the site that is really supporting AB 798 and all of the OER conversions that we're working on right now. And then of course we have our library website, library.sjsu.edu/ALS. We have a variety of materials broken down by subject and discipline there that you can go out and check out and see if they would support your teaching. There are many, many other options available to you. That is one of the both exciting and challenging things about OER materials. OER materials are spread across in different repositories across the web. So that's why we are here to help you and assist you in this process. So if you do need help, who can you contact? Adriana and myself are here to support you. We've had conversations with some of you already and how you can adopt these materials. And we are very fortunate and excited to have two other people on our team, Amy Strage for Center for Faculty Development and Elizabeth Tu, who's our accessibility expert. So you have the support of all four of us to lean on in this process. Now, what will we need from you moving forward? We will need you to attend the second workshop. You only need to attend one. We've already set the dates. They are Tuesday, November 7th and Wednesday, November 8th. You'll notice that over the lunch hour because we will be providing lunch for you. So come on in, and we're restructuring these workshops. We're going to use them more as like a lab working time, and you'll have availability us to help you during this time as well. Additionally, we will need you to submit your revised syllabus. This will be due at the end of the semester once you have completed teaching the new OER materials in your course. Also, we will need you to complete some course conversion assessment and some surveys throughout the course of the semester. We'll actually be sending you links to these. They usually take about 5 to 10 minutes. We try to make them not too onerous so that you can just quickly enter your data and we can get that back from you. Now, really important, you probably want to know, well, how is the grant money awarded? After you have piloted your redesigned course and provided an assessment, we will be sort of transferring funds to your department. We need to revise this a little bit. Originally, the grant had intended to transfer the funds to each of your department in your name for your use. What we will need is the name and contact of your financial analyst. What has worked out in the process is that we have you purchase something. For example, you want to go to a conference, your department goes ahead and purchase that for you, and then we come in and we actually wipe that off the books for you. So we have $1,500 that is available to you in professional development funds that we can then use and transfer expenses away from your department. So they can be used for professional development only. That means that you can purchase, if you need to go to a conference, you need to have travel paid for to go to a conference. We have some faculty that have hired student assistants. In our case, we use some of our money to actually hire a couple of student ambassadors to help us raise awareness for the OER conversion across campus among our student body. There is a small caveat to this particular item. Originally, we were not allowed to purchase any technology. They have made one provision that if you find that you're in desperate need, for example, you need a laptop, we can arrange for that we would cover that cost through your department. However, it in essence becomes your property. The university will not be able to support that device in any way. If it were lost or damaged, it would not be able to be replaced. If you needed to maintain software on it in some way, we would not be able to assist you with that. So we did do that for one instructor who was in desperate straits, and we were allowed to go ahead and make that. But by and large, the grant is not really designed to replace technology in your department. Now, if you want to purchase something that's directly related to your teaching, I had a question yesterday about maybe some chemical compounds, something like that. I believe that would be fine because it's going to the students and supporting your teaching.
Are there any limitations on the description for the student assistant position, like to what they can do? Like if I hire a student assistant with money, are there any limitations to what they can do? Can be research, course development?
Let's ask Marilyn, because she used some of her funds for her
Yes.
student assistants.
Yeah, my student assistant helps me with just about everything when it comes to my course, period. Simply because with the, using the OER, there's so many different ways in which I could actually utilize those particular textbooks and be looking for updates, looking for changes in the materials, because it's constantly flowing sometimes. And so you have to have someone that's really targeting the specific things. And so, yeah, I use my student assistant for a lot of things in the classroom.
And I believe most of the restrictions actually come from the departments. We try to give this money away, and it's the departments that are saying, oh no, not, how can they use this? And it's like, really, it's up to, the faculty. But, we try to give the money away, and it's actually the departments that are, putting the brakes on. It's like, oh, what is this, and then also the interdepartmental transfer, because it's a grant, it's coming from a special budget. That's why we can't just transfer funds. So the expense has to be made, and then, so that's another issue. So you need to talk to your department financial analyst.
If part of what you want to do with your funds is travel to conferences or do professional travel, make sure that the department analyst or whoever you're talking with is abreast of the latest travel regulations. Because there are a number of states that are on the we can't reimburse you for traveling to their list, and a number of other restrictions. And you would also have to make sure that your travel authorization is submitted and approved before you travel, or else none of it is approved.
Right.
So just educate yourself about all those.
Excellent point, Amy. Thank you. I believe we're up to 7 states now that we're not. Eight. So that just changed recently.
So let's see if I understand how the student part of this works. You say you have to spend the funds first and then be reimbursed?
Yes. So your $1,500 stipend that you would receive at the end of the program, you would actually make the purchases through your department.
Purchases, we're talking about an ongoing student assistant.
So that's an excellent question.
Go ahead.
After your student assistant has completed the job, then that person can be reimbursed if you're hiring that person as a vendor, and that's my case. The person is an external person that I trust. They're coming in and working with me.
When you
If it's
say
a regular,
external, you mean outside the university?
yeah, it's a graduate, someone that's already graduated. If it's a regular TA, then it would go through that whole process where they have to turn in their hours or whatever it may be, but you have to talk to your vet in the department to see how that's going.
Yeah, but, you spend this over time. Do you pay it over time? Is that how it's done? In other words, just what Marilyn's talking about. So you hire a student to help you run the course, especially if it's a large course.
Right.
And then you accrue these each month.